Hello and welcome. As we shake off the reality that we are now in the new year 2026, we kick it off with an integral program, which is the official inauguration of the governing board of the Nigerian Shippers Council. We will also bring you highlights from a stakeholders meeting convened by Nigerian Shippers Council to address concerns surrounding the recent tariff increases within the nation's ports. In addition, we will keep you updated on key developments from the Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy and a dash of our Titbit segment to round up the program. Do sit back and relax as we go on a short break.
For more than 5 decades, we have empowered and protected the interests of shippers in the nation's maritime industry. Our focus is to facilitate trade, regulate tariffs and rates, as well as handle shippers' complaints on cargo losses, damage and non-delivery. We offer dispute resolution mechanism for shipping and trade disputes between shippers and service providers. We are Nigerian Shippers Council, Nigeria's port economic regulator, your gateway to a thriving maritime sector. Nigerian Shippers Council will meet you at the port of your need.
Welcome back. You are watching The Shipper, your must-watch program for impactful insights into the nation's maritime industry, proudly brought to you by Nigerian Shippers Council, the nation's port economic regulator. I am Idowu Ogungbemi. The inauguration of the governing board of the Nigerian Shippers Council comes at a critical point in the evolution of the council, with ongoing reforms in port operations, increasing private sector participation, and rising expectations from port users. The federal government considers the constitution of the board essential for strengthening policy direction, institutional accountability, and strategic oversight. The board is expected to provide guidance and enhances regulatory stability, protects the interests of shippers and other port users, promotes fair competition, and ensures that sector reforms align with Nigeria's broader economic objectives. That's a brief on what the board is meant to do. Now, let's get the full story of the board's inauguration as Lucy Yambi presents the report compiled by our correspondent.
The timing of the inauguration of the governing board of Nigerian Shippers Council, an agency under the Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, was significant, considering the council's efforts in the recent past at changing the tempo, visibility and effectiveness of the maritime industry. The Honorable Minister of the Marine and Blue Economy Ministry, His Excellency Adegboyega Oyetola CON, while inaugurating the board, described it as a significant milestone within the maritime industry. He also noted that the inauguration aligns with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, aimed at repositioning key sectors of the economy for sustainable growth.
Today's event is more than a ceremonial rite. It represents the activation of institutional governance, the entrenchment of accountability, the commencement of a renewed phase of purposeful oversight within our marine and blue economy sector. His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, JCFR, in furtherance of the renewed hope agenda, has graciously approved the constitution of this board in accordance with the relevant statutory provisions. As members of this board, you bear a solemn public trust. You are charged with providing policy guidance, strategic direction, and vigilant oversight in accordance with the law. Let me emphasize that while management is responsible for the day-to-day operations, the board's duty is to ensure that the council remains faithful to its mandate, complies with government policies, and consistently delivers value to Nigerian shippers and to the national economy. As we inaugurate this board today, we do so with confidence in your collective experience, professionalism, and dedication to national service. I urge you to justify the trust reposed in you by Mr. President and the Nigerian people through integrity, discipline, and demonstrable results.
Dr. Ibrahim Shehu Shima, chairman of the governing board and a former governor of Katsina State, expressed gratitude to the president and the honorable minister for the opportunity to serve once again. He assured the ministry of the board's commitment to working assiduously towards actualizing both the council and the ministry's aspirations.
Clearly, the workings of the Nigerian Shippers Council, the Ministry of the Economy, is targeted towards enhancing the revenue base of the country, using the best practice of the excellent rules, regulations, and laws. And let me give my personal assurance on behalf of the board that everything pertaining to the operation of this ministry and this particular council, especially as it relates to the ICTM, potential carbon tracking notes, we will ensure that we enhance operations using the excellent laws and regulations under the Ministry of the Economy for the monitoring, movement, and transportation of cargo via waters within Nigeria. This council has the authority equally to provide and regulate fair fees and levies on importers and exporters of our terminal operators. Let me assure you, Your Excellency, that you will not find us wanting in doing this to serve our country.
Besides the chairman, other members of the board include the following: Dr. Pius Akuta, Dr. Amy Membere Otaji, Mr. John Aluya, Right Honorable Chidi Collins, Mrs. Olufumilayo Olasheinde, Dr. Fumilayo Rashidat Adeoti, Alhaji Mele Kolo Geidam, Mrs. Hafsato Mohammed, Honorable Maharazu Adamu Dey, Mrs. Uzoma Okereke. Addressing journalists at the close of the event, Dr. Pius Akuta, MON, Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of the Council, outlined the Council's policy direction and emphasized the importance of a productive working relationship with the newly inaugurated board in advancing the Council's regulatory mandate.
The policy direction of this government is to develop the economy of this country from the marine and blue economy sector. So to put these institutions in place means that we have everything we require, the tools we require to go to work. So I'm expecting that the members of this board, together with the chairman, will put our heads together and begin to work more, speedily to actualize some of the missions that we have set for ourselves to accomplish. We have so much to do as a council in terms of looking at the freight rates and ensuring that there's a balance, there's not too much fees charged to service users by the service providers. And also the service providers are not so complaining of inadequacy of revenue coming to them. And then by and large, we are a revenue generating agency. And you know that the whole concept of a national GDP is how much government is making and how much government is spending. And we are also a revenue generating agency to ensure that the revenue of this government of this country is upscaled. And I think with the board today, we are all set to do just that.
Stakeholder engagement has become a hallmark of Nigerian Shippers Council. In line with this commitment, the Council convened a high-level stakeholders meeting following the recent tariff increase. The meeting was aimed at creating a platform for dialogue, clarification, and consensus building, balancing the interest of service providers with the Council's responsibility to protect shippers and the wider Nigerian economy for unjustified cost increases. Held at the Council's headquarters in Lagos, the meeting brought together representatives from the organized private sector, users, and providers of port services. Addressing the meeting, the Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of the Council, Dr. Pius Akuta, MON, represented by the Director, Consumer Affairs Department, Mrs. Ife Okolwe, while appreciating stakeholders for choosing dialogue and constructive engagement in addressing sector concerns.
The fact that you are here today underscores the shared responsibility we all bear in ensuring that our ports remain efficient, transparent, and aligned with global best practices, while also protecting the interests of port users and the Nigerian economy. The meeting has been convened in response to the concerns and agitations raised by stakeholders regarding the recent review and adjustment of certain charges applicable to some shipping lines operating within our port. The Council takes these concerns seriously. As the port economic regulator, the Nigerian Shippers Council recognizes that any change in tariff structures has direct implication for the cost of doing business, trade facilitation, and ultimately the price is paid by Nigerian consumers. The Council remains open to dialogue and is committed to outcomes that reflect equity, regulatory integrity, and long-term sustainability of the maritime industry.
The Director, Regulatory Services Department, Mrs. Margaret Ogbonna, provided clarification on the recent tariff review process, noting that Council's role as the port economic regulator is to maintain balance between the users and providers of port services.
The Nigerian Shippers Council, as the port economic regulator, wishes to clarify this issue surrounding the recently approved tariff adjustment for regulated service providers. The Council reiterates that all tariff reviews were conducted strictly in line with its enabling regulation, NSC Port Economic Regulations 2015, Local Shipping Charges Regulation, and the Council's published guideline for setting and modification of tariff rates and charges. And what were the justification? Upon request, the tariff adjustments, regulated service providers were mandated to submit the following documents. We have procedures for reviewing requests. Some of the activities undertook by the Council included audited financial accounts for the years in review, rising operational costs, that's OPEX, including issues on fuel, equipment maintenance, and terminal-related expenses, capital expenditure commitments and investments aimed at improving service delivery and operational efficiency, macroeconomic pressures such as economic instability and inflation.
The Managing Director, Port and Terminal Multi-Services Limited, Mr. Ascanu Rosso, while thanking Nigerian Shippers Council for the initiative, said his organization's intentions to review service rates is due to current economic realities.
As far as I am aware, this stakeholders meeting, which we really welcome and we thank the Shippers Council for having organized it, it was to address the issue of increase of tariff of shipping agencies and shipping lines. I am talking as MD of one of the terminal, which is PTML. We have so far, and as far as I'm aware, none of the terminal has announced any tariff increase. Of course, we are looking with much interest at what's happening in the industry, and that's why we are here, because we are indeed concerned because of the escalating cost to run the business in Nigeria, in the spirit of not wasting too much money, because I know that there is a lot to deliberate. I will not want to dwell too much on tariff increase of terminal operator, because I can talk for PTML, we have not announced yet any tariff increase, and as far as I'm aware, none of the terminal operators has announced any tariff increase yet. Be rest assured that when we will do that, be rest assured that when this is going to happen, everyone will be carried along.
Representing the Shipping Association of Nigeria, Mr. Ogo Ofia assured the gathering that shipping lines operating under the association remain committed to complying with regulations.
As shipping lines in Nigeria, we do compete with one another. What that means is that while we are trying on one hand to maintain a professional and improved service, we are on the other hand trying to keep our costs and our prices low so that we get the most market share in the market. This is something that nobody can dispute, because there's never a time when we all align and we want to do the same thing. Rather, we are competing here for the same market. You can ask the importers, you would see that it's a free market. They can choose any shipping line they want, and price is one of the key things that they use to choose this. So if a shipping line decides to price themselves out of the market completely, then they're doing themselves harm. The other things I want to talk about quickly, just to straighten here, is that as shipping lines of Nigeria, though we are under the same umbrella of SAN, that is the Shipping Lines Association of Nigeria, we do abide by competition regulations. What that means is that never at a time do we sit together to talk about our rates and to align on the rates so that we harm the Nigerian public. Never. This is against global conduct, and we never do that. So where you see shipping lines increasing rates, This is done individually based on their different costs, based on their different parameters that they've used. And it is based on this that we push our business forward. Anyone who has been following global shipping lines news will see that in the past few years, some shipping lines have closed. In some years also, some shipping lines have closed operations in several countries. This is not new. And let me advise you that this is not something that cannot happen in Nigeria as well. When we do operate here, we don't just pick prices out of thin air. We actually conduct our services in a very credible manner, regulated by the Nigerian Shippers Council, to ensure that we provide the right service to our customers and we charge what is commensurate with the service that we offer.
Dissenting views were also expressed.
We are rejecting it. And the reasons are not far-fetched. In 2023, when we had an increase, the reasons given for those increases has to do with what the Shippers Council stated. And as I speak now, inflation is 14%. Fuel has gone down. Dollars are stabilized. So what are the reasons for the increase?
We are glad that the regulator decided to call for this stakeholders engagement. But from the way I had the submission of the director here on the steps and other preludes to what really happened in that increase, I feel that the issue of shipping company to engage with their stakeholders in terms of sensitizing them, in terms of agreeing with them on tariff increase, that is a flaw.
Speaking with journalists after the meeting, the Director, Consumer Affairs Department, Mrs. Ife Okolwe, who represented the Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer, assured that the issue of the tariff adjustment would be resolved amicably.
They've made their own observations, which, being a good economic regulator that we are, and knowing that our mandate, is to promote fairness, transparency, and competition in the port, and efficiency. We have to listen to our stakeholders. We have agreed that we are going to reconvene. When they send the name, we have requested for some names from them, each of the organization. So we'll go back to the ES and giving the feedback in respect of today's meeting. Definitely, I think it will remain suspended until we finalize our discussion with the ES and the meeting with the stakeholders.
From the inauguration of its governing board to the convening of stakeholders meeting on tariff adjustments within the first month of the new year, the Nigerian Shippers Council has signaled its resolve to entrench transparency, dialogue, and regulatory balance while positioning Nigeria's maritime sector for sustainable growth locally, regionally, and internationally.
The Nigerian Shippers Council emphasized that no tariff adjustment process is concluded without due consultation, regulatory review, and stakeholders' engagement, stressing its role as a neutral regulatory authority committed to fairness, transparency, and sustainability in the port system. Getting a head start in getting things done is visibly an entrenched working model of Nigerian Shippers Council, which we intend to follow and report throughout the year. The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Dr. Adegboyega Oyetola, recently launched the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund (CVFF) application portal in Lagos, marking a major milestone in efforts to provide structural financing for indigenous ship owners in Nigeria. It described the initiative as a strategic move to reposition the maritime sector as a driver of national development, addressing the long-standing financing gaps faced by Nigerian ship owners and reduce dependence on foreign-flagged vessels. The CFF, established under the Cabotage Act of 2003 but previously unimplemented, is designed to support vessel acquisition, create jobs, stimulate allied maritime industries, enhance safety and security, and retain economic value within the country. Let's now join Maria Yuekule for a Titbit segment where she x-rays happenings within the local and international maritime scene.
Hello and welcome to a fresh edition of Tidbits on the Shipper. I'm Maria Uekule, bringing you the latest developments shaping Nigeria's maritime space. Let's begin. A one-day sensitization workshop organized by the Special Duties Department of the Nigerian Shippers Council has highlighted collaboration and synergy as key drivers of organizational growth and operational efficiency. The workshop held at the NSC Southeast Coordinating Office, Aba, was themed The Power of Collaboration and Synergy. The program formed part of the Council's work plan aimed at promoting efficiency and excellence in the workplace. Staff of the Southeast Coordinating Office were engaged on the importance of teamwork and collective responsibility in enhancing productivity and supporting the Council's mandate. The session was facilitated by Head Office team from the Special Duties Department led by Mrs. Ostina Ogbonnaya, who emphasized the need to move away from silo-driven work practices. She outlined practical ways collaboration and synergy can be harnessed to improve service delivery and achieve institutional goals. Participants commended the Special Duties Department for organizing what they described as a timely and insightful workshop, noting that it would positively influence staff mindset and work culture across the zonal offices. We encourage you to follow our social media pages at NG Shippers on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube for more of our latest updates, events, and information. Let's take a look at our complaints register for the week. The Nigerian Shippers Council has received 6 complaints. 3 have been resolved, while 3 are still ongoing. These cases include sensor theft, withheld auction containers, vessel detention, delayed cargo transfers, unwanted threat to action, and conspiracy, forgery, and economic sabotage. Now, let's switch our focus to our international maritime news. French carrier CMA CGM has announced it will again reroute some vessels via the Cape of Good Hope, reversing a recent decision to resume transit through the Suez Canal and Red Sea. The company cited a complex and uncertain international context, but offered no further details. The move affects 2 French Asia line services between Northern Europe and Asia, as well as the Mediterranean Club Express linking Asia and the Mediterranean. A separate service to India will continue using the Suez Canal. The decision comes just weeks after CMA CGM became one of the first major carriers to cautiously resume Red Sea transit, even maintaining limited escorted voyages during the regional conflict. Industry analysts say the reversal highlights ongoing uncertainty for shippers seeking stable supply chains. Zeneta analyst Destine warned that the change could undermine confidence in schedule reliability, noting that the transit times on affected routes had improved after returning to the Suez Canal. That concludes this week's edition of Tidbits on the Shipper. See you again next week with more insights from the maritime industry.
For more than 5 decades, we have empowered and protected the interests of shippers in the nation's maritime industry. Our focus is to facilitate trade, regulate tariffs and rates, as well as handle shippers' complaints on cargo losses, damage and non-delivery. We offer dispute resolution mechanism for shipping and trade disputes between shippers and service providers. We are Nigerian Shippers Council, Nigeria's port economic regulator, your gateway to a thriving maritime sector. Nigerian Shippers Council will meet you at the port of your need.
How time flies when knowledge is being impacted. As always, we have arrived at our anchor point on this journey. Till next time, do feel free to pass across your comments, views, and suggestions through our social media handles at NG Shippers. Here is wishing you clear skies, gentle winds, and calm seas in the week ahead.